Good idea.
We'll give him that one.
Patent pending. I have the paint for you.
Hey, Henry McClure live.
What's
Hey,
happening?
Greg.
I am.
Oh yeah. Here we go.
I am from Texas. I'm called the Flying Auditor, and my name is Greg, and that's as far as we'll go with the name. And I'm a broker down in Texas. I'm a wildlife expert, land expert, commercial, oil and gas, you name it, hotels, motels, all that kind of crap.
Kales.
C stores.
No, let me ask you a question. So, our city bought a hotel. So you tell, and we should have never bought it. We overpaid for it. And I don't think the government personally ought to be in private enterprise.
I agree. Was it bid? Was it a bid or was it a?
Well, it was an auction.
Oh, auction.
And we had a guy named Matt Pavarnak in town. And he was like, he kind of reminded me of Pee Wee Herman. Except nobody caught him in the movie theater.
Okay.
But anyway, he kept saying, we've got to have the right people need to own this. The right people. If it would have been in the 60s, you would think he'd be saying the white people.
Right.
It was really, really egregious. But Pee Wee, he has since left town. But and this is what they're really doing. They're fixing all the deferred maintenance so they can give it to a guy that's local, and then he'll look like the hero, for bailing the city out.
Well, that's odd. I mean, a city buying, is it a brand? Does it come in with a brand, or is it just the building structure? And
it's just the building today. Okay. And so what they're doing, it's right next to where the like the expo center, the arena.
It's a good spot to be.
The county didn't buy it because the county owns the arena. See, we've only got 190,000 in Shawnee County.
Mm-hmm. What's the pop of Topeka?
Topeka is 126.
It's about where San Angelo is about the same.
When I was born in 59, it was 119.
Okay.
Now the county grew because of white flight.
Okay.
After Brown versus Board of Education, the white folk, or maybe it was black folk, moved, but nobody wanted to go to school together after Brown versus Board.
Gotcha.
My grandfather actually integrated the schools. We have a school named after us. Yeah, I know. I'm always bragging.
Well, I'm confused.
Can I get back to the
Sure,
point?
I was going to ask you about the hotel.
Yeah, what the hell's the point?
With the building.
Always talking. Point is, I think all the negotiations from today going forward ought to be open to the public.
Well,
100% transparency.
I have to agree with you, especially if public funds are being utilized.
Yeah.
And if you don't, that means someone's hiding something, and then y'all have what's called Cora, I guess.
Oh, I use Cora.
Yeah.
They know that.
I guess I've dealt with enough entities, and what I have discovered is, especially like south on the border, my partner and I, we were going to buy a 20-floor circular hotel.
Oh, back to the old Holiday Inns.
That was an old Holiday Inn, and there's one in Orlando. I had a place in Orlando. So we were going to do it and talk to the owner. The owner, great guy. Problem is, the city prohibited parking around him, and they were building a convention center right next to it. And so what ended up happening, and I talked to
You mean around the hotel? You couldn't park there.
There was no parking. They would not authorize him to do the parking, and that's what spoiled the deal, because we'd have closed on the deal. And the city, because it's a border town, there was just a lot of problems. And so we backed off, and I think it just ended up going by the wayside, because this guy ended up letting a lot of indigents come in and stay for free, and they just ruined the place.
Can I take a step backwards?
Sure.
Thank you for being on the show.
Oh, sure. It's good to meet you after I saw you on YouTube, and that's how I met him. I saw him on YouTube. I heard the rant. I followed the rant because I'm a veteran. I get my type A, and when I heard the rant, I said, this guy's got something going, and just was doing what he's doing.
I'm trying to figure out how to help veterans, and I think the best way I can do it with my background in the shopping mall business is, I heard there's a group, or it's an operation called Boots to Business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, no, nationwide. Okay. I think it's run by the Department of Defense.
Okay.
And I'd like to meet Pete Hegseth. I'd like to meet that guy.
Well, let me ask you: is there a large homeless veteran population?
No, we have I don't know the exact statistics of how many veterans are homeless. I don't have it.
35,000.
35,000 in the nation. Our color man, it's our studio supervisor. He's off camera right now.
Well,
Hey, he had a good idea. Let's give him credit for it right now. We're going to paint that back wall green, so I got a green screen.
absolutely. Well, one of the things I would say you do is reach out.
Thank you, too, for coming here.
Hey, yeah, I'll introduce myself.
Come on in here. Pull up a chair.
Ah,
There we go. Say hello.
how you doing? I'm Kevin. I am the Angry Vet on YouTube. So, if you want to talk about veterans issues, I'm your guy.
So, I have an inherent, number one, I'm glad that I've never had to fight. I love our freedom. I'm a patriot, I believe, as good as I can be. But knowing Harry Calmary as a child, I feel blessed.
Okay, so
That was my dad's law partner.
that's the guy who did the GI Bill.
Yes, he's the architect of the GI Bill.
So did you catch? I don't know if he said this before.
Oh, they hear it all the time. I'm always bragging about myself,
Yeah. So
I never did until I ran for office. Just minding my own business.
Well, if you don't toot your own horn, nobody's going to do it for you, unless you have somebody do a third party, and they can do that for you.
I ran for county commissioner against what I think is a corrupt government over at the county. And I think that our city government is corrupt too. And I'll tell you where the corruption in lies is they've got an NGO called Go Topeka that they've abdicated their power. So Go Topeka will hold meetings that aren't open to the public. Yeah, and decide where our taxpayer money goes.
See, that's bogus.
The sale tax.
Isn't there an organization that it doesn't Kansas have a open meetings type of statute?
Yeah, and I got to get on to Kobach. He's a friend of mine, our attorney general. But I think the way you solve stuff with that we have a new president and a whole new regime of non-bureaucrats, I truly think Washington can help us today.
Well, Washington's no, it's
slow your roll on that.
That's not going to happen. It's
You
a
don't-
lot of rot. It's
I
so
understand.
deep. The cancer is so deep. Hegseth even said this about the Pentagon. It's so deep, embedded layers and millennia deep. It's going to take way more than 4 years to root them all out.
And it isn't a red and blue thing.
No, it's just corruption.
It isn't a
No,
Trump and Biden thing.
It's good and evil.
it's
It's good
not-
versus evil, if you
Well,
ask me.
not necessarily as evil against all of us. I mean, both sides are evil.
Well, let's get real,
Let's
Kevin.
get real.
Let's get real.
Everything's evil.
Hey, if a guy or gal goes to the Senate or Congress and makes $175,000 a year, and in 4 years is worth 20 mil, something's wrong.
Yeah, something's wrong.
There's a lot, and see, look,
Especially when that congressman has absolutely no
like
interest in helping a veteran out of a certain situation
oh yeah,
that the government put him in.
Well, so my heritage is Anthony Wayne fought with Lafayette, and he was my great grandfather's third cousin. Somehow we qualify to be a son of the American Revolution. Then both great grandparents fought in the Civil War, Union, Yankees. My dad was a navigator on B-29s. He trained to drop the atomics, but he was the first guy to fly over the Mo when the Japanese surrendered.
probably do.
And I watched Vietnam on TV.
Mhm.
I was born in 59, and every time I'd watch the news, like my older brother, you get to watch the news, you get to watch your TV channel for a half an hour and sit in a big chair. So I'd always watch the news just to piss him off. And I've always been obsessed with current events.
Sure.
And so I understand the rot. I do. I get that because I see the rot here locally.
So let me interrupt you. Go back to the building.
The hotel.
Yeah. So does the populace of Topeka, have they come up in arms and say, look, we need to know what the hell's going on with our money?
Yeah, the hotel the hotel has woke everybody up. But we even have one worse than the hotel. We have a deal that didn't make it over here, but we're going to put it over here because it's going to be better.
Well, no, that's just a shell game.
Yeah, I was about to say.
That's just a shell game. If they think it has a better chance in this little tiny part of the legislation versus this little tiny, it's always going to be in a little tiny part, obscure at the bottom of nowhere where nobody, on the 980th fucking page. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if it has a better chance in this legislation than that legislation, they don't fucking care. They're just gonna put it there.
And so let's be clear to my viewers that if I have people that will send me Doge stuff.
Yep.
And some of them, I'll make a quarter request to who owns the building because of the LLCs. And when I can't get the city to tell the truth, they're just hiding things. I know who owns the building, and it's a guy that's a big donor to the Chamber of Commerce.
Let me interrupt you, because let me ask you, because you said something. I want to answer this because I go through the state of Texas because that's where I'm from. You have a Secretary of State here. Don't you have access to, if there's an LLC, you can dig into the LLC and look up all their filings, public filings?
Yeah, you can do that,
Okay,
but
that's
it
what I do.
still doesn't say who are the members of the LLC
Yeah, it does.
in ours.
In
our state.
If you look at the documents and they publish their if there's franchise tax or whatever they do when they publish it, typically what I have found, and this is relative to us because in Texas, as a real estate broker, our sales prices are none of your business, so it's not open records, so
See,
nobody will know. Here it's
we
different.
know
Right.
know the sale price,
Right.
but you only have to file articles, but you don't have to file the operating agreement.
I gotcha.
So within the operating agreement, it divvies up who owns what percentage of. But
You have land trusts up here?
yeah.
That was a good way to do properties. A
Yeah.
lot of ways to do.
And that's how my stepdad divorced my mom, was through a residential trust. It was a bogus thing.
Sure.
My stepdad, I did go pee on his grave because I was pissed off.
So wait,
I felt better for that.
I want to get back to what you were saying. So it's a corrupt town, and how many people have the passion, have the
Well, we're going to find out if I get elected mayor.
Well, what's the first thing you're gonna do if you get elected?
first stop? Oh, look, I've trained 250,000 people. Take the word "if"
Okay.
of your lexicon.
All right.
Leaders,
But it's about
when you get elected.
okay, but it's about if the people are going to rise.
See, that's the problem. Even in the VA is, and on
So
the other side.
let's talk about your veteran. Where did you serve? And what did you do?
Let me finish
Okay.
before, because I forget quickly. So
That's
when I
why I
get lost,
interrupt.
they just they disappear.
That's okay.
So the problem,
We're a match. We're perfect for a radio show.
the problem with the people is, and it goes all around the board: police departments, military, government, VA people, veterans. It's all around the board. People are scared to make a wave because they have something to lose.
Yeah, that's why the chamber runs things.
Right. They don't want to speak up because they're going to lose some sort of benefit. And it's like with veterans. Veterans don't want to make waves in the system that they're already receiving the money from, because if they make waves, there's that chance they're going to get a flag. Their records are going to get flagged. Then their benefits are going to get taken away. And then they might get locked up because they're arguing with the receptionist to get an appointment that should only take 14 days, but it's taken 8 months. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they get arrested and boom. And then shit just declines from there. Then they get addicted to drugs and then they're out on the street. And I believe 100% in my heart of hearts that if and when we do start doing the digging in the veteran community and into the VHA, that we could probably trace a very, very large percentage of the veteran suicide crisis to date back to the fucking VA.
Well, it happened recently, dude, down in San Antonio. Audie Murphy, you heard that Navy guy went out under the portico because I'm a Texan guy and I've gone to Audie Murphy many a times. He walked out. He was so dissed by the VHA. For you don't know that VHA is Veterans Health Administration. That's the medical side. This kid came out and was so just pissed, set himself on fire in the portico where people drop off their vehicles
Right.
and burnt to death.
And some of the
Killed
kids
That's
thought it
hell.
was- some of the kids thought it was a drill. Is this a drill?
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
But see,
You know, I've got a veteran that was in here the other day. We wrote some stuff on the board in that office, checking that car.
no, I almost didn't notice on that.
Everything good?
Good.
But basically, wrote down what you just said
yeah,
about being they get anxiety when they go to the VA.
yeah. I just heard a story last night from the bartender at the hotel I was staying. His best friend got out of the military not too long ago, had back issues, had stuff that needed to be taken care of, right? They put him on medication. They got him addicted to opioids.
That's easy.
Then they started messing with all of his care. He didn't know what to do, didn't have anybody to advocate for him because the advocacy program and patient advocacy was also in bed with the hospital, yada, 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 on trying to screw him. And now his best friend, who had never even drank a drop of alcohol and was always on the straight and narrow, is now addicted to heroin and living on the streets alone and homeless. And that is a problem.
Agreed. Well, let me tell you why I drove down from Wichita, because y'all don't know, but it doesn't really matter. I got up here to Wichita. I did some combat training with Navy SEAL Eddie Gallagher. And for you guys and gals that don't know who that is, research Eddie Gallagher. I mean, just a wonderful guy. Had a lot of crap happen to him. Was accused of killing an ISIS fighter. A lot of the Navy SEALs in his team turned against him. It is a book. I mean, Eddie's just a quality. President Trump pulled him out of prison, out of the brig, and then that pissed off the command at the Navy, and then they tried to pull his trident on the trident board, and then Trump came in again and said that's not happening. Gave him his full rank back, all the back pay, and he retired, with honors. The guy's decorated, just a wonderful man. So I was up here training with him, and Kevin had a chance to visit with him, and I spent 2 days. I haven't shot. Last time I shot this type of weapon, it was a kill house, we called it. Last time I did something like that was 40 plus years ago. I was a K9 guy. So I had what's called a GAU, broke down, M16 with a retractable stock. And to tell you how old I am, my weapon was a 38 revolver. That tells you how old, but.
No, wait, 38 though. No, wait, they changed to the 45 in World War II because
we had 45.
the Japanese,
right?
The Japanese wouldn't stop coming. The jungle fighting, the 9mm were just going through them, right?
Well, the biggest, one of the things that brought me down up wherever.
You're up.
Up this neck of the
Texas.
Woods. From Wichita is there's 2 veterans out in Lawrence, the city of Lawrence, that the city council, because these guys said something, had a sign, used their First Amendment speech. They've been trespassed. One of them has been jailed. I think the other one's business has just been trashed.
Oh man!
And also, I'm coming up here to redress my grievances because that stuff pisses me off. Number one, you don't mess with vets, especially when someone's speaking free speech. If you don't like what they're saying, close your mind. I mean, the Open Meetings Act, you can speak, you can redress your government, you can say something. If I call a government employee out on his own, there's case law that substantiates all this. So that's why we came up here. I wanted to express my dissatisfaction with these nimrods.
Well, I came here to back you up.
And this is my backup. Kevin and I have known each other a couple of years. He came out from Baltimore. And I got to tell you, when a lot of people don't realize when you take time, money, and effort to do something, that means something. And somebody doesn't recognize it. Oh, well, that's just what it is. I'm no guy. 58, I was born. So.
You know what I loved about the sermon yesterday? It was about the lady that just put 2 pennies in the pot.
Oh.
And Jesus said, well, she gave more than everybody. And that's what I feel about public service. I've never wanted to be a politician, but if somebody doesn't stand up for the corruption,
Right.
I'm the two pennies. I'm the two penny guy.
Yeah, I didn't want to be on YouTube, I never thought I'd have a YouTube channel. I never thought I'd
Well, I
have
never-
a nonprofit, and I never thought I'd be fighting the government ever. The government is what made me this way.
See, here's the thing: regardless of your age, people, you got to get off of it and get on with it.
Yeah.
And one of the things that Henry has and does speaks his mind. Now, there's a lot of people. Look, I've trained enough people, 250,000 plus over the last 30 years. I've been accused of destroying the English language, and I do it proudly. I have people from MIT, Harvard, just try to eviscerate me with my words, and I just tell them because I say ain't, I just destroy the language. And I said, you're majoring in the minors when you're listening to my verbiage, to my sentence, my syntax. I says, pay attention to the message. You're missing the message. If you judge a guy by his demeanor, look, before Trump became president, I read all of his books because he's a negotiator. I'm a master negotiator. I hold that certification. I've done it for years. I know how to do it well. You learn from the master. And I read his books and I thought, I like this business guy because, granted, comes from family wealth. But here's the thing most people think
Did you just call him a master?
a mastermind in negotiation. So a lot of people, when he's doing his stuff, they're bitching about, oh, he's doing such and such. But people miss the point that behind the scenes, he's getting work done with the negotiation aspect. So it's a detractor. Some of the things people tweet, oh, you have to be appropriate. Why am I saying that? Henry has a way of saying what he says. And if you don't like how he said it, too bad, because he's representing a true person. He's not politically correct, trying to be all that to the Topeka elite. I mean, I'd love to come in because I've got clients that are billionaires. They like me because I tell them to F off. They hired me for a reason.
I've done that before.
And the reason behind because I'm good in my own skin. I don't have anything to prove. It just doesn't make any difference. So if someone's all hung up about where they live, where they drive, how many committees they're on, they have a problem. You got to serve the people. That's the whole key. And if the populace doesn't understand that, you got to have people that's got enough cojones, as we say in the South, to stand up and speak up instead of sitting down and holding your mouth shut. You got to make some noise in a positive way, saying, hey, I don't like what's happening. And if you drop an F-bomb, drop an F-bomb. My wife, after 42 years of marriage, she said the F-bomb a couple of times right on when I've got her. So the big thing is,
usually they say people that will drop the F-bomb are being honest.
Yeah,
absolutely. You can't help it. It's
just the way I don't.
It's the fucking truth.
I am honest, but I also got it from 2 Seagoing Services. That's the way I talk.
Yeah, and here's the beautiful thing. I have friends from New York, and the F word has multiple meanings.
Yes.
If you listen, it's hilarious if you listen to it. But the point being, guys, is if you are, Henry's running for mayor. There's people that don't like him. There's people that like him. Who cares? The bottom line is the guy's got enough cojones to put himself out there and make himself a target. So people can throw stuff at him.
If we want change,
you got to.
You can vote for me if you want change.
Well, it's not necessarily providing a promise. It's saying, look, if this isn't fucking working, why wouldn't you go in another direction to find the change, to find out if it is going to work. If it doesn't work, then do it again.
So let me answer your question. Your original question was, what's the first thing you're going to do?
Yeah.
Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make it fair, create an even playing field so everybody can be developers. So you could come to town and be a developer. And here's what Topeka's done. This is where we proverbially step on our private parts, right? You know what I wanted to say. Well, look, we've got state law that controls TIF, CID, and RHID.
Okay, so break down the words.
Tax incremental financing, community investment district, and it was rural housing, but our housing is so bad that they brought it into the city of Topeka.
No, we're talking public housing? We're talking housing in general.
Just housing in general.
Residential 1 to 4s,
yeah,
what have you?
Yeah. Okay. So,
well, you could tell just one of the very first things I said when we pulled into town was, this kind of looks a little depressed.
It is.
This town looks, look, it needs.
Here, I liken it to the cities like alcoholics. They keep
Mm.
doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different
Is
result.
it the same people in the same positions
There's
perpetrating the same crap?
there's a lot of the same people. Like there's this little girl named Karen Hiller, who's my uh, city council person. She's not stupid, but she doesn't have a backbone. There's sometimes the other day, everybody was against her at city council. I stood up for that lady. She was right that time, trying to do something right. But there's too many times I don't want to vote for her. In fact, let's see. There's a half an hour. If somebody's got a half an hour to go register for District 1, but so what I want to do is if it's state law up here, it trickles down, the city council can't change it because what they'll do is they'll give it to this guy over here because he's part of the chamber and in the club.
Well, so is the whole council. And that's the way just about every city works. I don't think councils should have any fucking decisions on
Right.
what to do because the people in the city council are all brought into that council by the same people that we are trying to fight.
It's exactly what happened to me as the county commissioner.
Right.
I mean, they went so much. So I'm a Republican. Grew up a Republican. I'm a Make America Great guy today. I think it's a step above the existing parties.
Yep.
But there's a Democrat that's a good lady. Her name's Joan Wagner. She was getting phone calls from the chamber members like, why are you supporting Henry?
Oh, jeez.
She put me on the Metropolitan Planning Commission years ago. And that's the next thing I want to do is bring back the Metropolitan Planning Commission because our borders of Shawnee County, it's our community. And we've got two different commissions now. And then I want to see where the federal dollars are going into the city because they're not following federal law. And so from now on, why I agree.
They being the council, or they being who?
The city council and the county commission. Okay. Because back in the day when I was on the Metropolitan Planning Commission, you'd have to submit your capital improvement program from the county, capital improvement from the city. Well, the city would submit theirs, the county didn't. And then we wouldn't approve the transportation plan until they did that. And then you have to have public involvement.
Well, that's the problem with the whole house. I mean, it's all about red and
You're going to
blue,
be fine.
or Dem or Repub. That's all it is. They don't want to ever work, and it's rarely that they work together. But when they do work together, they're only working for themselves. They're not working for the people. So if they could just all do the right thing together, then that would be a much better government. But they're too busy fighting each other and trying to work against each other. And that's why I don't like politics. I hate politics. I mean,
and I don't hate you for that.
Right. And it doesn't matter if it's a Democrat and I see and I like what they're doing, I'm gonna fucking vote for them.
There was a day you could.
You know what I mean? If I see a Republic, I'm gonna vote for it. Like it isn't about the red and blue to me. It isn't about the Republican Democrat. It's about the genuineness of.
I know you got a question on the tip of your tongue, but to segue, there's a fellow named John Akla who's a Democrat, tried and true, but he was the first elected official I've ever heard say, I'm here for customer service. And we marched down to the revisor's office and we wrote a bill to freeze the appraisal price. So if you buy a house, that's the price until you sell it. Because that's the only way to find true market. Yeah, that's the only way to find true market is through what a guy will pay and what a guy will sell.
That's the only way.
Person.
Well, we call them BPOs, broker price opinion. And I've had more people come up on BPOs, and I just tell them, I said, a BPO broker price opinion is a snapshot time. Because I have a side business outside my real estate practice, which deals with hundreds of thousands of acres, I'm known as the Texas wildlife guy, and it's an agricultural valuation. So I'm really in tune to pray. I've done business with probably 200 out of the 254 appraisal districts in the state of Texas. The one thing on the assessment part, and I don't know if it's true here, we just had an incident happen where I live in a flying community. I have an airplane, and all of our properties, one of the properties down there went up to $2 million. Then there was a glitch. The database of all the data of all the landowners, all commercial, everything in this specific county, and actually a lot of counties now, is owned by a private entity. And the problem is during the appraisal process, when you want to argue your appraised value, your assessed values, and I only know Texas's deal. Kansas might be different. If I'm going to make a complaint, the state is required to provide me all their data on how they calculated, what formulas they used, where are they getting their data from to make make a valuation on, if this building has been improved. Okay, well, how many square feet was improved? What methodologies are you using? They wouldn't give it to me, so we had to go to the governor or to the Secretary of State, the Attorney General, get an answer. I said, wait, by state statute, you're required to provide me that data to argue this. And I just said, look, it's a scam. Does Kansas, on the database and all the data for commercial, all your oil and gas, is that owned by the counties, the
The
state?
counties, and here's what's really the crapper of this whole thing is the counties don't even have comparable software to record comps for commercial real estate.
Well, here's the thing. I've always looked at comps. Everything.
I hate comps, tell you the truth.
Here's because I just don't jack with a lot of houses. I do if it's on houses, it's got to have a lot of acreage.
I like comps when you're trying to claim something on insurance.
Sure. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Claim with insurance.
Wrong company.
Comps.
But see, the what I've always done, and I've only been licensed since 08. Is
Rookie.
Yeah, I am a rookie, but I'm a real knowledgeable rookie.
No, you are. You're doing.
I've trained thousands in Texas on brokers.
So tell me about this train. No, you had a question, but tell me about the training real quick.
Let me back into that.
Okay.
But I wanted to ask, and we'll go to the appraisals later, is there a statute in Kansas that gives the citizenry the legal right to literally recall anybody for any type of egregious from county?
It's got to be a felony in Topeka.
Okay, so let me just show. Texas literally just passed yesterday or last week a bill that allows any of the citizens. So if there was a chamber member, a council member that was just a jerk, was like happened in Lawrence, the city of Lawrence. The mayor and the council members, the guy was speaking his mind, redressing his grievances according to the First Amendment. I don't like what you're saying because you can't be talking to us about us. They had him arrested. Now, I'm a Leo. I had a license, all that kind of BS in the military for years. Let me tell you what pisses me off when you do that stuff. You need to hold somebody accountable. Texas says now you can literally go after any of those guys and have them removed by state statute.
I love it.
And that makes it so nice because there's something called QI, qualified immunity. Government officials, the Leos have it, judiciary has it. It's a veil that covers them for any misdeeds they have at all. They can literally be jerks into any citizens and get away with it under the veil of QI, qualified immunity. And what ends up happening is somebody tries to sue, the city's got an insurance policy. And I like doing this. I like to call the carriers. I like to get the carriers' information and see how many lawsuits they paid. How many millions of dollars have they put out because somebody's been egregious doing what they're doing.
I don't see the problem. I really don't see.
Oops, I'm sorry, folks.
I don't see QI as being the problem. I see these lawyers and these pro se litigants not being able to get past QI because they don't know what they're doing, or they're paid government ops. They're working with the other side. You see what I'm saying?
Man, the
Like
first
QI really, I don't think QI.
No, QI
really,
actually does. It does. Let me tell you why. You have liability insurance. Everybody has liability insurance. You've got commercial liability.
Yes.
To protect your practice. That is the comparable on the government. It's a freebie for them. It's a veil that protects them. How do you pierce the veil? LLCs, you can pierce the veil.
So it's like a benefit.
It's a benefit by virtue of their position.
Right.
That's across the country.
Wouldn't you want, I can't blame
I
them
might
for
need that
having
my
that.
first term.
Well, no, you get elected.
Right?
Yeah, but you get elected, you automatically have a veil around.
I need that my first term.
Qualified immunity. You check this out. You go to all the states. There are so many states, with the exception of New Mexico. New Mexico did away with qualified immunity for all public officials,
Oh, that's
including
kind of
Leos.
cool.
Well, let's face it. If you own a business, you need to put some skin in the game and cover your own ass with your own insurance policy. I've had to do it for years. My friends that are ER doctors, they pay their ER insurance. Qualified immunity is part of the, in Oklahoma, for instance, some of the Leos make 12, 15 bucks an hour. I mean, they're broke.
Leos.
Yeah, law enforcement guys.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. So but the problem is a lot of people that know they have that veil of protection, they abuse it.
So were you MP during?
No, I was a USAF. I was military police in terms of, it depends on how you look at it. I was Air Force, so we called it differently. I was in the nuclear era, Strategic Air Command.
Okay.
I was a K-9 guy, so I dealt with nuclear weapons, and then I transitioned into law enforcement, became a narcotics cop. So my first tour was 5.5 years behind Doberman Pinscher Narcotics as law enforcement. And so I did that for 5 years, got a degree out of the deal. So I'm pretty well versed in that. And then the next 5, because I'm a disabled vet, I broke my neck. I couldn't do it any longer. So I ended up going into the education field.
Did you ever have a Doberman go bad?
No. Actually, my personal Doberman, one of my personal dogs I got from a client. I used to be in the insurance business way back in the day, right as I got out of the military. He opened me up about 15 stitches. Big old Doberman just went at me. So, that was all she wrote for him.
I'm gonna take a break.
Yeah.
But I want to say something before you get too far away from the QI. Is it's a talking point that people have regurgitated over and over and over again. I'm not saying that QI is not bad and doesn't need to get gotten rid of, because I do believe that 100%. But in order to do that, you have to learn how to beat QI.
Well, yeah, and
You see what I'm saying? And not really everybody
by case by case.
Right. And once we start beating QI on a regular basis, then we'll be able to possibly get rid of QI.
What happened in Lawrence? In Lawrence that happened. The QI was stripped for the Leos. They aggrieved one of the veterans. The QI was stripped.
Hey, leave that open if you're gonna take a break. Were you heading out of the studio? Yeah, just leave that open.
Leave this open?
Yeah, I don't have great circulation in here.
So,
Thank you.
So
Smoking outside.
No, I just meant air throughout the building.
So the qualified immunity aspect has been stripped on some of the law enforcement in Lawrence. Guess what? They're still ignoring it. Them being the people, the Leos, they're still abusing what they're doing. And I have a problem with that. I'm in the process of developing a CE course, a continuing ed course for law enforcement. I'm working with a guy that's active as a detective, and he's an instructor, and I'm an instructor. I mean, I haven't taught law enforcement. I've taught Texas statutes and all that stuff. So it's the same thing. I mean, if you're an instructor, you know how to do it. I know how to do it. But the idea is the citizens have to understand that you need to stand up. And, Henry's a guy. And look, this is the first time we met face to face. I found him on YouTube and I started hearing him. And I feel the man's pain. I heard him just railing one night, walking around the development, and he was pointing this out. And I'm going, damn, that sounds so familiar. And kindred spirits. That's so cool how people meet.
We had a staff member add $1.7 million to a project for just 2 fast food deals. I mean, we broke our neck to bring Whataburger to town and another Chick-fil-A for the east side of town, and they took advantage of us. So what they do is once they get their hooks in you, they make the developers bear all the brunt, especially the out-of-town guys. Now, not the local guys.
Okay, so let me interrupt.
Yes, sir.
Because I know a lot of franchisors. So on Chick-fil-A, because there's multiples where I'm at. So you don't have a local developer building the Chick-fil-A?
No, we did the deal. And
so there's no GC here that'll handle that'll be the
no, the GC it was a TIF deal and a CID deal. So the developer was involved so much as that we had some.
Do they have to fall in those categories? This TIF and this CID? Is that something? Because I'm not familiar
It's
with
just state law.
that.
So what I'm saying is, if we follow state law, we don't have to put up with the city's bullshit.
And so the city is not following state law.
I think, well, they trump it. They get in there and then they get their teeth into the deal.
Okay,
And
so-
through the city process, that's what they've done. The city council and the county commission have made themselves so self-important that they've added another layer of government that's unnecessary.
So we've just met each other, but I can speak to my buddy. I have a longtime friend that owns a very large private investigation company. If you want to find dirt on any of these idiots that are doing this bullshit, I can get you in touch, and I can guarantee you what I can find dirt on anybody deep, and all I have to do is make a call.
Well, see,
And I mean, here's the thing: people need to be exposed. If
I'm going to take you up on that offer
because there's
because
some people that I'm from the school. The citizens matter, and if you're sitting on top of a board at the dais at a higher level than the citizens, problem one. Problem two is when you make these back end deals. Now, I've seen small communities. I've heard what you've been talking about. What the hell's been going on here? And it's like sometimes you think it's an uphill battle, but there are people that will eventually pick up the banner, but leaders lead and they don't look at who's following.
well, here's what's happened. The very first time I decide I'm going to go ahead and pony up and sue over an issue, because we've been trying like hell to get the Citizens Commission in place, and
Which is non-existent.
well, the county didn't invoke it. It was state law, and they didn't do it for 5 years. And the minute we went down there and spoke up, this Brenda Dietrich, through another person, gets Senate Bill 104 through, where it's optional for the county now to do the Citizens Commission.
You know what I've just
Are you hearing what I'm
I'm
saying?
hearing everything. It sounds so reminiscent.
No, I can feel you're boiling.
My buddy Kevin, who disabled vet, has been aggrieved very badly by the Veterans Administration and by the local in Maryland. The whole judiciary in Maryland is so damn crooked. Imagine having to go in front of a judge and you can't provide evidence that's federal evidence that substantiates what you say or what you do. Oh, we won't hear it. And the problem is there's a lot of states based on their judiciary. Crooked is the day is long time, almost nepotism in some ways. Let's get them to do their thing. And the problem is people fall into that rat hole, and let's go with this guy who's worth X, owns 75 XYZs, worth $250,000, whatever the hell, 100 million, whatever it is. And from the school is it takes someone with some balls to say this is bullshit. And some people might think, oh, guy's crazy. When you have somebody that's been here as long as this dude has been and is saying something needs to be done, a lot of people might dismiss you. You've probably heard all the bullshit.
Oh no, they tried to do that back. You know what a highly functioning alcoholic is?
Yes.
Yeah, until they're not.
Right.
And so I had a death moment. So I'm here but for a miracle. And that's the beginning of crazy. The minute you think God saved your life. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Oh, that guy's insane.
Yep.
He thinks God saved his life. Well, God did save my life. Thank God. And so they try to play the old, it's a decade old.
Sure.
That story doesn't work anymore. And even one of the city council guys, he's always going, Henry, they know you're right, man. They're just not going to do it because they've got to answer up here to the
protection.
the oligarchs.
Yep.
And
mafiosa.
I'm serious. I mean,
it's the modern day judiciary. It's the elite mafiosa.
I've got a book called War's a Racket.
Yep.
Have you heard of that book yet?
No.
It's sitting right out there. Hey, you want to grab that book? It's right there on my tool chest. And
War's a Racket.
Yeah, I want to read this thing really quick because it's written by a 2-star general that's a Marine. And let's see here. I don't know. I gotta find out. Oh, there's my glasses. But anyway, this guy says, I feel nothing more like a mafia thug down solving problems for corporate America in different countries.
Mm.
And he says, I really feel, thumping heads isn't why I got into the military for corporations in our country.
Well, everything is different, and that's the problem is you just got to have a following of people that are passionate. I mean, what the hell made me drive 8 hours? I could have flown, but all the weather sucked. I mean, really bad when I came through. But the idea is I came up because I believe, and I put my money where my mouth is. I want to make sure that no skin off my nose in Lawrence, Kansas. Couldn't care less. But I do care because I'm going to let them know that I don't like what the hell you're doing to my vets and the citizens. The citizens are first, you're second. If you don't believe it, get the fuck off the board. That's what bothers. I don't care if you're a JD, which means you're an attorney. I love these attorneys who think they're all that. Look, for shits and giggles, I took my LSAT and I made a 160 out of 175. So I know I'm pretty.
So you almost got it.
Well, that would allow me to get into law school.
Oh, okay.
But I wanted to do it distance. I didn't
Wait
want
a
to do it.
minute. 175 was the total. Yeah,
I did okay. But the idea behind it is you got to have people that believe so strongly they'll put the money where the mouth is. And they'll, like the founders did, what they do, life, liberty, they gave up wealth.
Oh, man.
And
time, talent, and treasure.
oh my God. And most people don't, oh, that was so long ago. Look at the stories and then correlate it to what's going on with some of the people today.
So I'm not taking any donations to be mayor. I won't take
You're
your
so
money.
funny.
No, I'm not going to even. I've agreed not to even put any of my money really in it.
Well,
I mean,
let's-
$1,000.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, you got to spend money to make money, and nothing really happens without money. So it's a necessary evil. right?
Yeah, I got it, but I'm just not going to play that game. If I don't
I
get
get it.
elected for that, look, I'm also not going to take the salary. It's not worth 40 grand. Not what I can do
Right.
on the private side.
Absolutely.
So
Yep.
I'm not better than anybody, but I will do it to make it easier so the city council ain't such a big deal.
Well, and it's also
Let's fix our streets.
Call
Let's
them
have
out.
clean water.
Call them out.
Oh, they're called out.
No, say, hey, if you're such a big deal, give up your salary. Or are you in it? Are you a public servant just milking the teat of the cow?
How can you ask for the taxpayers? We're taxing people out of their houses.
That's crazy.
No, really, like little old ladies out of their houses, and we're giving $9.5 million to an oligarch
That's crazy.
in the name of economic development for the failed project. Failed over here. And I asked the dude, I go, hey, why did it fail? And he goes, well, the head of Go Topeka, Molly Howie, didn't do her job. That's what he told me.
Wow.
He says, I'm not ready to go to war yet, but now maybe he is ready to go to war.
Hey, you find somebody that gets pissed off enough and it's just going to turn a switch and all of a sudden things change. But if everybody's going along to get along and let's not rock the boat, let's keep our money and give me a little whatever on the side, a little recognition, self-aggrandizement, how great thou art.
Well, let's I want to write an epistle to this investigator. So if I disappear, at least you guys know.
Oh, wait, you need to state it right now. He did not commit suicide.
Right.
He did not kill himself.
You can't say.
And I'm
you
not-
shouldn't say those words on.
Oh, on YouTube? Oh, see, he knows that. I don't.
Oh, I don't know that either.
Yeah. Okay. He shouldn't unalive himself.
I'm not-
Oh, are you live or are you editing this?
No, we're live on Facebook right now.
Oh my God.
Oh, I've heard the word war come up a couple times. I'd like to address that. real
War.
quick.
Go.
Is in all the history of history, war has always the main focus was the head of the snake, right?
Right.
Right? The head of the snake. So what's the snake in this case? It's government is the snake. So until everybody wants to say, oh, we're making change, we want to make changes, we want to make changes, they're not looking at it as a war. They're looking at it as, this needs to change for my benefit. You know what I mean? This needs to change. A great number of the population is I don't like my taxes because they're too high, or this person's not running the city right, or whatever. But it's not them. It's just like a mafia. It's the head of the snake that you have to go after. And until we start attacking things um, like going into litigation and raping the coffers of what these people are using to make all these wrong decisions, that's when the people are really going to actually start looking at what their taxpayer dollars are doing. Because let's face it, a lot of people are non-complacent because they're comfortable. They're very comfortable in their own little fucking world, and they're not seeing the big picture. And that is why you have to like, share, and subscribe and see the right. You need to these people need to see with their own eyes exactly what's happening, because if you don't chop the head of the snake off, you have absolutely no chance at the war. And the key point is we're gonna in war, we're gonna have to use the same tactics that our enemy's using. We are going to have to we're going to have a little corruption. We're going to have a little dishonesty. We're gonna have to have spies on the other side. You know what I mean? Like, it's war.
Investigators.
It's war. It is literally war.
The
And you're not
segment
gonna
is
beat
called
them.
war.
Yeah, you're not gonna beat them without going to war and using their own.
But you have to think like a tactician. I always use this, and a lot of people say, "Why don't you tell people what you're going to do in advance?" I liken it to if you're on a ship, you're on the gunnels, on the rails, you're looking out into the ocean. This is going to be a World War II analogy, and maybe it's still relevant today. You see a contrail of bubbles on the surface of the water approaching you. By that time, it's too late. It's a torpedo. You're done. That's how I've operated my real estate practice. I don't beat my chest and say how great I am. And here's all. I don't get the clients I do because they know I don't kiss and tell. I never do that, or they wouldn't have given me the opportunity to work with them. And so there's a lot of the young guys because I've trained so many real estate brokers, and and I understand marketing.
It's training.
I train specifically on Texas statutes that deal with. We're the only state in the country that allows you to have wildlife as a agricultural valuation. So if you got a lot of cattle
Okay.
crops up here, but there's a lot of people that buy the land that say, I don't want to crop and I don't want to have cattle. What can I do? Well, the wildlife
An
designation.
estuary.
Well,
Is that right?
No, and when you do the designation in Texas, it's called a wildlife management valuation. It's the same thing as if you had cattle, horses, or goats, or you're cropping. Taxes don't change. It's identical. There's no up or down. So you don't have to you don't have to have. I got to put so many bushels out. I have to have so many stocking rate of cattle, horses, or goats on the property, what have you. And there's some states that would like to do it, but we're the only state that offers it, and it makes a big difference because we're a huge state. 98, 95% of the state is privately held. And, when you get a lot of guys and gals who are recreational, hobbyist farmers, I know a hobbyist farmer that has 10,000 acres.
Were you born and raised in Texas?
Kansas City, Missouri.
Oh, Mo. All right. You're a Missouri ruffian.
Let me tell you something. And he told me I should write a book, and I'm thinking about it. I found out I have two siblings I never knew about until I went to 23andMe. I have two half brothers, never knew because I never knew my parents other than I vaguely remember my bio mother. Never knew my bio dad. Well, I I saw all the pictures of my bio dad. He's a radio DJ in the 50s, yada yada yada. And I was born in Minerva Hospital on the river. Well, that's a Jewish hospital at the time. I'm Jew. I'm a Jewish guy. And all these years, I was, my wife and I, we had a big ministry, business ministry, doing our things. And all these years, I've had a lot of friends that are Jewish and very successful. And I always thought Judaism. And then when my half brother said, "You are a Jew," and then I heard my father's voice for the first time ever, my bio dad, talking about that. And I'm going, wow. And so I ended up, I wanted to embrace something that I'd never known. So I'm a Jew. And some people say, well, that's a bad deal. And I correlate that because there are counties out there, their methodologies on silencing the constituents by saying, you can't say that, you can't address me, you can't do anything, is reminiscent of the brown shirts in 1930, what they did to the Jews. They stripped the rights to talk, they publicly humiliated them. And there's a lot of councils that are doing that. There's a lot of these meetings that you go out and redress your grievances You might drop an F-bomb. You might call that guy a scumbag or a gal a scumbag. You can't say that in the council meeting with 3 minutes. Bullshit.
And you can't change the world in 4 minutes. That's all we get.
That's ridiculous.
And I got shouted down by this lady, Sylvia Ortiz, where my name was mentioned in a committee meeting. And then she tried to turn this whole thing into a racial thing on one of my real estate deals.
Oh, wow.
And then the paper took my side. Man, she's a disgrace. It was terrible.
Well, when you don't have nothing, you throw the race up. I have a lot.
Yeah, the race card.
I have some folks say, well, you're a white guy. I says, no, I'm a mix. I'm half Brazilian. So I can cater like what did Obama did? He catered to the black side, and he was
He's 51% white.
right. And I told my wife, I says, I just want to check other just to piss off the census people. Other.
We'll do it.
I do.
So did I tell you my Jew story?
No.
Mace Siegel. Mace Siegel was after World War II. He was a Navy guy, and they were trying to get him to enlist. And he said, "Well, what rank would I be?" And they said, "Well, you might be a chief petty officer." And Mace said, "No shit." So he's in New York, and Mace joins the training program at Macy's. And he's selling ties, and he's in the training program. And then nepotism took over. And he didn't get to go up in management at Macy's, got his real estate license. His dad wasn't that great of a real estate guy, but his dad knew all the people, the muckety mucks. So Mace Siegel was my mentor, and Mace died with $3.5 billion.
Wow.
And he started with zero, nothing. That's why I think I got better training than anybody. And then he met this guy in Topeka, Dana K. Anderson. And Mace would say it this way. He goes, Henry, the New York Jew walks into the Midwest. I can't get anything done. The price goes up. This is Mace talking, they won't deal with me because I'm a Jew, whatever. But he goes, the Swedish boy from Topeka, the Episcopalian, he walks in, Dana K., and he can get all the deals done. And from Topeka, we bought a mall out here. We were the second owners. We became the third largest mall owner in the country. And May started with nothing. And Dana started with nothing. So I respect these guys. So, he trained us you got nothing.
Right.
And go make deals.
Right.
And that's why I'm better than anybody would go to Topeka, the chamber, or anybody in the real estate business in Topeka.
Sure. And
I'm willing to put my 2 coins in. But you don't make hay saying you're the best thing since white sliced bread. I've made a living just minding my own business because it's nobody else's business what I'm doing.
Right.
But I think I can be a developer and a broker and be the mayor of this town because everybody's going to get the same deal when I'm done.
Are you required to do a financial disclosure?
I don't got much right now. Divorces are expensive.
Oh, no.
Good. Good. I rent this office. I rent where I live. I've got some savings.
Sure.
I don't have to tell you how much I got saved. And I take care, I was Mr. Mom and I raised my daughter. You got to see her. She's 30. She's going to be 30 this year. She goes, "Can you believe I'm going to be 30?" And I go, "Well, yeah, I can because I ain't missed a bit of it." I delivered her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. In California, if you cut the cord, man, you know how you get on adrenaline? And when I cut the cord, you could feel the texture of the umbilical cord. That's how in tuned I was. I go, "Oh," but, Mr. Mom, then I helped my mom die. And I didn't put a pillow over her head, but we had hospice for 7 months.
Wow.
And I had access to the morphine and the Loratabs. And I felt like I was in jail taking care of my mom.
Wow.
And I told my mom, I go, "You got to quit giving away money because we're going to spend all your money and my money. And, it's going to be tight." And literally, when she died, and I was so happy because the morphine and the Loratab went out the door. And I never had the desire to use those again. But you can get through the day with a little liquid morphine in the morning.
No idea.
Yeah, well, good. I'm here to tell you.
Now, all my pain is on my back and the neck. He saw me this weekend hurting like hell. So in this couple of days, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's all the past.
It is.
I'm
You know what I hear a lot
let me tell.
about war, whatever.
Let's hear
this war against the government. I hear a lot of people making excuses saying, well, it's the government. They're too big. We can't go against them, yada yada yada. And it's not the fact that they're too big. It's the fact that they're too scared to
talk like this.
to lose what they already have. And that's probably one of the biggest problems in this whole fucking war thing is it just isn't feasible for most of the population to go against the government, and there needs to be special people that are willing to go against the government that we need to get behind and create the numbers because we're only going to win
With
with
numbers.
numbers. And it's like, well, and they refuse to play the government's game. And well, you're like I say all the time, you're gonna bring a bag of fucking checkers to a chessboard because that's who you're playing against. You need to play that game. It's not about playing the game, it's about playing it smarter, not harder. And it's kind of hard to play chess with a bag of checkers.
And I'll tell you that one thing that we don't do as a country, we have short memories. What happened last July 13th?
Was that the one in Vegas?
I
It was
have
a
no
big,
idea.
really, it was a big.
Pennsylvania. That's where they shot Trump.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
Okay, that's my birthday.
Okay.
I'm born July 13th, 59. Think about that. The existing government, the people in place thought they were powerful enough to kill the guy trying to change things. And Comey the other day putting seashells together,
Oh yeah.
8646. I mean, that guy should be in jail.
Well, all of them were too powerful.
How can they be?
They are. They've gotten away with it this long.
Because we let them.
It's because the people are. There's a whole layer of people.
The dumbing down of America, it started decades and decades ago with our fucking children and taking curriculum out of the schools and putting all these weirdos in educational positions to dumb down our kids. And now we have to rely on the ignorance to get us through so this next generation can hopefully squeeze their way in and keep building on the foundation that we left, because I don't think we're going to see the change. I mean, I'm optimistic. I don't think we're going to change anything. I think we're going to be dead and gone a long time before shit actually changes the way it needs to make. But I'm going to do my part, and I'm going to be damn sure to lay that solid foundation so that can fucking happen.
I think you're going to see it. I really do. I do. I think you're going to see it too. I know I'm going to see it. Got another 65 years. That's how long I'm going to go. I'm going to take care of myself. I'll tell you what happened the other day. It was really cool. My daughter, Bianca, she said, Dad, we're right where we're supposed to be right now. There was like a certain amount of calm that came over me that my daughter's smart enough to see that, we're just traveling through time. And like, she's like excited about me trying to change things. She goes, some of my friends are very excited about you trying to change things. And little things like that, little pats on the head, man, it makes me not want to give up.
Sure.
And the Doge, I owe my viewers, you ought to see the stack of stuff I got on corruption. And I need to get it out. I need to get it out in as fast as I can. And but here's the thing about them, they can't get me.
Let me ask you this.
Yes,
How
sir.
many people in the real estate community have recognized all the crap that you've brought to the forefront, and are they saying it or not?
There's some of them. There's one. Um, there's I'm going to say Berkshire Hathaway out at the. They're run by a really conservative guy, and I like Doug Bassett because he always says, "Henry, enough of this government grants and all this bullshit. The deals got to stand on their own. So quit trying to play their game. Just and because it's going to happen, it's going to dry up. You know,
Well, isn't Berkshire Hathaway? It didn't.
He just stepped down as
Did he
CEO.
just step down?
Yeah.
Oh,
96.
Warren Buffett,
Buffett.
yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was.
That's
But there are people out in their office, but these are the high performers out
Right.
there. They're the
$1 club winners.
well, they're the ones that you don't go there to get trained.
Right.
You know, if you've got a license and you're doing good, now you go there to get trained to be better.
Right.
Like, so,
Gotcha. Yep.
and then there's some people down at the Better Homes and Garden down the street. They're seeing it, and that's a really good office too. That's what I'm trying to tell the 700 people north of 700 is that if I create an even playing field, you guys
We'll have a chance at a piece.
yeah, because all the leads go up here right now. So there are people that see
Okay,
it.
stop. All the leads go where? Up here where?
Hey,
To the
to
big
go to
cities.
Topeka because
So
they are
when you say-
controlling the economic development money.
Okay, so when you
It's
say
an NGO.
when you say leads, what I don't understand.
Well, hey, I want to develop something in Topeka. Oh, you need to talk to Go Topeka.
Yeah.
Okay, stop. So if I wanted to come in, I've got investors. We got 50 million looking to do some stuff.
Right.
It's going to be a cold day in hell now before I do anything in Kansas because of the bullshit I've seen. And I've told my guys this is too corrupt. No way. Let's keep it south. Problem is when you said every developer has to go through that entity mandatory, or can they just, hey, Mono, you own 100 acres. I'm going to develop it. Owner, let's hook up together. You be the owner. You pledge the land. Let's develop it accordingly. Can you do that? We'll pull permits.
Yeah, you can do that.
So what stops it? Why isn't it not happening instead of going through that route?
Because the system that he talks about, it's in place.
Is it
It's in
default?
place.
It's default. So any developer,
default.
regardless of size. So if a guy wants to do a $10 million
But
project,
here's the thing. People hear about the shit that goes on in this community. They don't come here.
Yeah.
That's it's a red flag.
so how did so all the how many
Look,
are there CCIMs here?
how many people like you see my shit and go, I feel sorry for that guy. Why should we go to Kansas? That we don't have a draw.
You don't have a what?
A draw. We don't have a
Oh,
reason to
yeah.
come to
There's nothing
Kansas.
here to come in here.
No, there's no reason to come here. Well, Topeka was just voted one of the ugliest cities in Kansas.
Wow, I did not know.
It's terrible.
Wow, that's a shame.
I came home because I wasn't going to raise my daughter in LA.
Oh,
You know, I came home because fourth generation. You know, I had a Yankee chaplain. Then my grandfather stayed here. My dad stayed here, and I loved it. I didn't hate it when I left, but after living in 11 different towns, this is what Mace said. Mace goes when I met him the first time. I go, "Hi, Mr. Siegel." He goes, "It's Mace." Okay. He goes, "Now pack your bags. I'm moving you to Montana." It only worked for the company like several weeks. And I was in Florida 3 days before they decided to change me.
Mm.
The last thing my broker said, "You don't want to go to work for that Jew. He's just going to move you all over the country." And like, well, what are you picking on Mace for? He sounds like a good guy. But he goes, "Henry, some boys have the army. You've got Mace Rich. You're going to see the country."
I wouldn't have a problem with that traveling.
And
Bad gig.
it's great. He paid my way. You know, he's the guy that didn't need to get every nickel out of every deal. Treat people the way you want to be treated. That was it. That was basically the training program. Treat people the way you want to be treated.
I just hope people recognize that, you're one of the guys out there singing the song and they've heard you. Some people get tone deaf. Some people just, oh, you heard it. I've heard it. Everybody calls. I've been called all kinds of things. That says water off a duck's back. If you're comfortable in your own skin, who gives a rip?
Right.
Gives a rip. Like my wife had said years ago, I used to, when something just 42 years of marriage, when something says something, I go, oh, well, that used to send her to the roof. What does that mean? Like, somebody says, oh, well, you forget about it. It's just, it's agnostic.
Yeah.
Oh, well. And that's the attitude. Just, oh, well, but do the work. Like you said, you got to be
Can't be
strategic.
complacent.
You got to be strategic.
Gotta
You
play the
don't-
game smarter.
What you don't do is you don't advertise your battle plan because people will cut
via
you out.
YouTube, via internet.
You
It's a demon. This
And
is
I-
a demon.
I think what I like about a little bit of the advertisement is because you got to know who I am. So what separates me? Okay, I'm unvaccinated because I didn't think the government had the right to tell me to take a shot.
Yeah, I didn't take the jab.
I'm not going to do it. No,
And
it's selling it.
it's not because I'm a Republican or a Democrat or anything like that. It's
You're
because
human.
my own fucking moral beliefs saying I'm not gonna let them stick something in me that I don't fucking know anything about. Period.
Let's see, what do we got? There, we could put them on the show. Here. Are you calling to be on the show, Henry McClure Live? Hello? Yeah. Yes, not.
Oh, well.
I always ask the telemarketers what they're wearing.
Why some of these things?
Picture, you can scoot in a little. No, this is,
My,
I'm going to get
I
it.
have a neck problem, so this is a little.
Okay,
I just-
do you want another chair?
No, I'm cool. I think,
Because I'm going to,
hungry. Are you hungry? I'm hungry.
oh, let's go eat. I'm buying.
Oh.
You're my guest.
Whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Well, what I would do again for all you guys and gals. Yep, that's what I say. If you don't believe in that, try milking a bull. Just stand behind the guy that's willing to put the banner out there for folks. There's just people that don't want to stand behind somebody. And you're passionate about what you want to do. You've been here so damn long, and you've got a wonderful history.
It's not about standing behind anybody. It's about standing with them.
Well,
Thank you.
That's how I.
right.
That's
a good
how
point.
I see
That's
it.
a good point.
Like when I go into battle with somebody, it's not in front of them. It's not behind them. It's right fucking next.
Right.
If I can have some warriors join this war, that's okay. Good.
Yep.
We'll win if we all work together.
Numbers.
But if I fail, look at the difference between Biden and Trump. Now,
Failing isn't losing.
we went Trump, Biden, well, and it wasn't Biden.
Right.
And then now Trump. You can
Trump.
see the huge difference.
Auto pin Trump.
Oh man, Trump, bureaucrats.
It's
All right, what are we hungry for? Let's promote where we're going to go.
I don't know. We're not around here.
no Mexican for me.
It's good. No Mexican.
No
I'm
Mexican.
fine with that.
No.
One of the NGOs put a demographic out, and they said we
No
didn't.
Mexican because I don't like Mexicans, even though I'm a Texan. I like true Mexican if it's done deep south. True.
You
Mexican.
get true Mexican
I
in
don't want
LA.
Tex-Mex is all we
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, what's
What's-
the fave around here? Do you have any specific?
I always go to the
sandwiches?
salad bar, but no, we'll go out. I know a place we'll go. I'm going to get some chicken wings. We're heading out to Jeremiah Bullfrogs.
All right, sounds like
Henry McClure Live.
So, what's a bull?
That was our graduation class song in 6th grade. All right, Henry McClure Live. I'd like to thank my guests. It's been a good show.
Don't forget, like, share, subscribe. That's the only way the message gets out. I'm the Angry Vet on YouTube. This is
Flying Auditor.
Flying Auditor.
I'm Henry McClure Live, but I'll find his site and we'll put it as a link here.